Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ashish and today's video is a bit different. As a way of saying thanks to the technology community, today I'd like to answer some of your questions that I've received in the past week about the new M1 Macs. So in no particular order, here are the common questions people have that anyone considering an M1 Mac or perhaps already having one may benefit from. You may find that you had the same questions as someone on this list, so I encourage you to watch till the end. But if not, feel free to skip to the part where your question is being answered or use the timestamps to go to any topic of interest. If you like this style of video, do let me know in the comments below and I can make this a regular weekly community video. So here goes. Tommy is having Wi-Fi issues with his new M1 Mac and really hasn't got much joy from Apple Care till now. Really sorry for your experience with your new Mac. Clearly it's not acceptable and Apple should have fixed this by now for you, especially since you have Apple Care Plus. On the issue itself, after the initial days, my particular MacBook Air has not had any of these issues. In fact, I face problems with my iPhone 12 sometimes when walking a bit too far from the router and then rejoining the network. The Wi-Fi on the M1 MacBook Air is now really strong. It latches on super quick and even on a different floor to the router, it does not let go of the network and has great connection speed as well. So clearly, if you're on the latest version of macOS Big Sur, this appears to be a hardware problem and really you just have to keep after them to replace or repair the computer. Depending on where you're located, I would try a different service location if possible. I've tried a few for my Apple devices and have a clear favorite that I like going to. So good luck to you. Sachalang says, which color will be best, silver or space gray? You know, silver has been the traditional color for Apple, so people jumped to get the space gray when it first became available. But now it's become so common that silver has started to stand out. And besides, silver will not wear out like space gray as it has on my space gray iPad Pro. So from that standpoint, I think silver wins out. Robert is having issues with Wi-Fi even with Big Sur 11.2.3. So once again, clearly Wi-Fi is an issue for more than one person. As I said to Tommy for his issue, if you're on the latest Big Sur update, it's clearly a hardware issue that Apple will need to fix. But also check that your router is up to the task. My router is the one given by the ISP. And I've tried a TP-Link router instead that not only increases the range but offers a stronger overall connection as well. So this may be worth a shot, failing which you will have to take it up with the Apple Service Center. Ashish's external drive is not being recognized by his Mac. What format is your external drive running? In any case, even with NTFS, it should be able to read the drive. Have you tried going to the computer via the Go menu in Finder? Some drives will not appear in the sidebar but will appear through this method. Utkarsh asks how to use two displays on an M1 MacBook. This requires a display link driver to be installed and specific USB to HDMI adapters to power the second display. I've tried this, but this does not work with any of my USB docks or hubs. So not a very reliable solution and should only be considered if you absolutely need this. Lots of how-to articles online on how to do this. Pranav is asking for a video fully dedicated to architectural and civil engineering students. Yes, possibly this is something I can consider. For a general recommendation, if the app you're looking to run on the Mac cannot be run natively and needs Windows to run, then best not to go for these computers. And also any programs requiring a dedicated graphics card, do not get these machines. Apart from that, there's nothing that comes close. These are the best value computers currently on the market. H Disconnected is wondering if 4K 60Hz on HDMI is a bandwidth problem. Well, 60Hz is within the capabilities of HDMI 2.0 even with 4K resolution, and Intel MacBooks are doing this fine. Even M1 MacBooks can do this on certain displays. So certainly this is a compatibility issue with DisplayPort and USB-C connections to certain displays. Vikas is asking if Apple will never give drivers or Bootcamp support for Windows for the M1 Macs. Well, the issue is really with Microsoft and not Apple in this case. M1 machines run on ARM architecture chips that have been powering mobile devices for decades now. Microsoft only licenses Windows ARM Edition to OEMs, and since Apple doesn't pre-install Windows, quite obviously, Macs cannot get a license for this edition of Windows. So until they start licensing the ARM edition of Windows to end users, you're pretty much stuck with the insider preview via virtualization software. Goodbye Planet has issues resuming videos when waking up his MacBook from sleep. It sounds like you're interrupting the sleep process and then immediately asking for internet data. Unless the video has buffered previously, it will take a moment to resume, especially 4K video. I don't think this is a problem. Try doing this with the power connected to see if that makes a difference, as the Mac may not want to enter as deep a sleep state as when on battery. Vinay asks if he should get the 16GB MacBook Air or the 8GB Pro. My money is always on the 16GB Air. RAM will make a much bigger difference than the fan for most apps. Aditya is asking about support for various apps and other operating systems. Now, it's not possible to try out all Windows apps because of time and resource constraints, but I would say this. CPU wise, this is one of the best you can get. If running Windows or other operating systems is a priority, or if the app you want to run requires a dedicated GPU to run effectively, then skip these Macs and get a PC or wait for the next line of Macs. Mir Zishan Ali has the same question about Windows software on a Mac. Again, Parallels performs very well on these machines, but you need to run an insider preview of Windows. You cannot get licensed Windows on an M1 Mac. So if that's a priority, then these are not the right computers to buy. If you have to have a Mac, then buy an Intel Mac before they stop making them. Philip is finding that his MBP with 16GB of RAM spins up its fan when doing a Lightroom Classic export. I think what you're seeing is completely normal. You've done the right thing by choosing the 16GB variant, because my 8GB crawls to a halt almost under this kind of load with Adobe Lightroom Classic. And it's good you're hearing the fans, which means that the CPU is not throttling, unlike my Air, which again does throttle. The good news is that the Apple Silicon version of Adobe Lightroom Classic is expected in 2021 itself, so not long now. Until then, you're sorted anyway with enough RAM and a fan. Kivas is requesting Solidworks to be tested on the M1. I've received a lot of requests for Solidworks, and whilst it does run, Solidworks themselves have a support video that discourages you from trying to run Solidworks on a Mac. It is unable to use all the system resources effectively and at best performs like a generic PC. Plus, given the fact that this is an insider preview, I wouldn't really recommend getting the M1 to run Solidworks. Get a PC instead. Nirav is considering a jump from a 2018 MacBook Pro 15-inch to the M1 MacBook Air. So I've actually done almost exactly what you're looking to do. I've moved from the top of the line 2018 15-inch i7 MacBook Pro to the M1 MacBook Air with 8GB of RAM. Now blame it on the RAM or the lack of dedicated graphics, but my experience has been subpar compared to the 15-inch MacBook Pro, especially in intensive programs. It's true that the Intel machines run hotter, but I'd say that the perfect replacement for your Mac is not the MacBook Air, but the next round of Macs that are coming soon. Then you will have the power along with reduced temperatures. So I suggest waiting in this case. Ishwar is asking about the expected portless iPhone. A bit off topic, but two quick points here. Why are they doing it? You may know already, but the EU region mandated that to reduce electronic waste, all manufacturers should adopt a common charging connector in the form of USB-C. But Apple makes a ton of money from MFI branded accessories for its proprietary Lightning connector. So they didn't want to be forced into USB-C and give up this revenue stream. Hence, they have set the stage for the portless iPhone, starting with the MagSafe accessories. It's a bit concerning though, as the convenience of a wired connection will go, especially with older cars or even when there's a problem updating or backing up the phone. For example, my iPhone 11 for some reason never updated over the air. It always needed to be updated by USB cable and the Mac. So that's what we need to see. How will we handle all these issues? Vishal wants to know if it's worth buying the Apple Care Plus for the MacBook Air M1. 100% get Apple Care Plus. For what it costs, it's a small fraction of what you will pay if things go wrong with the Mac. plus the peace of mind you get for 3 years. On my older MacBooks, one needed a new display. The cost was 50,000 rupees from Apple and I had it done outside for 22,000 rupees. And the 15-inch MacBook Pro from 2018 went through 2 logic board replacement in 2 years. It would have almost written off the computer but for Apple Care Plus. Faisal has some interesting observations coming from a Windows PC. Great observations and perspective. Certainly the performance is better than anything of this size and the stage is set for better things to come. MVR wants to know how I've shown Windows running on the iPad. This is actually using AWS or Amazon Web Services. Earlier there was a method via UTM to install Windows on the iPad natively, but it's not working after the iPad OS 14 update and the performance was never great. Via AWS, essentially you're connecting to a remote server that is running Windows and you're not using the iPad system resources apart from the internet connection. Sanjeev has sent a message on Instagram and wants to know whether the M1 MacBook Air will work for his requirements. All of these will run very well on the 16GB M1 Air. Plus the benefits of getting a MacBook like the best trackpad and keyboard in the business will be the icing on the cake. Only thing you may want to consider is that soon there will be bigger MacBooks with dedicated graphics and they will absolutely crush everything before and after and will be much more suited and longer lived. So buy now if you must or wait if you can. Joseph is on the fence between a new MacBook Air and a refurbished MacBook Pro. I think being a sealed system with less dust ingress, the MacBook Air will age very well. It runs very cool, remember this. So any previous experience you will have will not apply to the M1 MacBook Air because it will seldom get hot enough to need a fan. People have modded them with some heat spreading paste or putty and had good results with that. So that may also be an option for someone who likes tinkering and needs to eke out that extra bit of performance from their machine. Personally, mine almost never gets hot enough to warrant having a fan. Tom is wondering if a 2015 MacBook Pro 15-inch is still worth buying. I would say it's best to wait for the next round of Macs. Rumors say that some of the ports will get restored. If the programs you run are not intensive, they should be fine on the 2015. But it would have been a different story if you already had that computer. To buy it in 2021 doesn't make sense, especially after the M1, even with their current issues. In terms of external displays, do a bit of research and get one that plays nicely with the M1 if you don't have one already. Otherwise, HDMI is the safest bet, apart from when waking up the M1 from sleep, where you may need to open and close the lid to get the correct resolution. Suleika is having trouble installing Big Sur on her 2015 MacBook Air. Sounds like a clean install is what you need. Try formatting the computer and then installing Big Sur from an external USB stick. There's plenty of instructions available online to create a bootable USB for this purpose. And finally, Daniel is asking about running 2 external monitors on the M1 via the Caldigit TS3 Plus dock. It didn't work with the Caldigit TS3 Plus and a USB-C dock for me using 2 different docks. I suspect that something like a StarTech USB 3.0 to HDMI adapter will need to be used to make this work. In any case, this will be an emulated display, so I personally haven't bothered with this. We'll wait for the next round of MacBooks that natively support more than one external display. Well, I hope that these questions answered some of the queries you may have had about your own MacBook purchase decisions or your existing MacBooks. And if you found this video useful, please consider subscribing to the channel. I will see you in my next one.